Meghan also adopted a different attitude towards the media promotion of Scobie and Durand's book, Finding Freedom. Okay, you guys, this whole storyline, I was just like, I about rolled my eyes out of my head. You guys remember when they were writing that book, and you remember how many times they went back and forth with Jason Kanoff as their spokesperson to Omid Scobie. They were desperate for him to have a meeting with Omid Scobie and Durand, and they constantly were changing things they wanted said. They were sending memos back and forth. She had a 2-page memo to Jason Kanoff about what she wanted said and what he needed to convey and the parts of the story she wanted clarification on. And so not only was it Jason Kanoff, but it was like 4 other members of the palace who were aware of what was going on with both the letter that she sent to her dad and this situation over here with the book. You guys remember that when they were working on the book, even though they were highly involved in the content of that book, Harry continued to say, we can't ever know. No one can ever find out that we were involved in this. And Jason Kanoff was all like, yes, we have to find a way that we can say hand on heart, we never knew anything about this. That was kind of hard, though, because it was so clear from the content in the book that unless Scobie was just an enormous liar, he'd had intimate access to them. So Meghan needed to either be coming out and saying, yes, I was involved in this book. That's why there's so many intimate details about my relationship with Harry that nobody else would know except for me and Harry. So yes, it's clear I obviously helped with the book. Or she needs to be suing Omid Scobie, right? But she's doing neither of those things. She's denying that she had anything to do with the book, yet she doesn't have any issues with the book that was just written, that's all about her and her life. Well, I mean, it's a positive portrayal, so of course she's not going to go after that. But there's such hypocrisy. If she's so concerned about her privacy, every single outlet that has ever said anything about her that she did not authorize, she should be taking those people to court. So it's just so clear that she just doesn't like negative conversations about her. Anyway, the book's about to come out. Omid Scobie is under his own sort of microscope because his truthfulness is in question. He's been wandering around telling everybody he's 33, but there's evidence that he's actually 39. He has come out with like an entirely new face. He used to look completely different. People are just wondering, like, what is his deal? What kind of a shyster is he? You know, questionable individual. That this guy is, this little, climbing the ladder and looking to scale that greasy pole himself. You know, he's very much in a lot of ways like Meghan. He just seemed like another operator, and people were starting to question him. And if somebody like this could be trusted to write a truthful account of what had happened with Harry and Meghan. As Meghan's acknowledged cheerleader, everyone believes Scobie's assertion that the book was written with the participation of those closest to the couple. Kensington Palace, Scobie wrote truthfully, had also introduced the author to people close to Meghan. Scobie left the reader in no doubt that he had also enjoyed close access to Meghan and Harry, claiming to, quote, have spoken when appropriate to the couple themselves. So he has come out saying he's talked to Harry and Meghan. He has said it out of his own mouth. All right. So let's not forget that fact because it's going to become really, really, really relevant on the next page. The best-selling book cast Meghan as the victim of sexist and prejudiced palace courtiers who snidely referred to Harry's showgirl and said that she comes with a lot of baggage. Yeah, both of those things are pretty true. She was a girl on a show and she does come with a lot of baggage. You know, it's like, Meghan, own who you are already. The book's narrative portrayed Meghan as a popular outsider distrusted as a successful woman of color. On what grounds would anybody just dislike you because you're a successful woman of color? Like, who's over there with some kind of draconian, antiquated, sad sack mentality disliking you just because you have risen as a woman of color to some prominence? Find me the person who's still functioning like that and is a contributing member of society, and I would love to know who that person is. Who's that person with those kind of broken ideas who's managed to make it in society to this day? Now, you want to find me some kind of mental cripple who's over there still thinking those things? All right, but I'm not talking about that person. That person is shunned from society in this day and age. I'm talking about a real person who has managed to make it and still acting like this, that's somebody who is, a biracial woman and has become successful. There's some kind of coup against her. That does not exist. Royal aides were described as vipers. William was criticized for provoking a rift with Harry. Thomas Markle was portrayed as a bankrupt, unloving, and deceitful father who deliberately failed to arrive at the wedding. Kate was blamed for snubbing Meghan. This whole book is full of caricatures of evil. Strangely, Scobie dismissed the allegations about the pre-wedding argument between Kate and Meghan. He claimed that no tears were shed by anyone and that was a fine time. Nobody was mad at anybody. According to the Sussexes' rules of privacy, media criticism of them was unacceptable, but they could assist Scobie in criticizing the royal family. Then, unexpectedly, Meghan changed her, quote, truth. The Sussexes somersaulted. They did not collaborate with the authors of the book, said Meghan's spokesman, nor were they interviewed for it. In a signed statement, Jenny Affia, her shilling solicitor, denied on Meghan's behalf that the Duchess had spoken to Scobie or given authority to anyone to speak to the authors on her behalf. Meghan herself described the Mail's allegations that she had helped Scobie as false, fantastical, and a conspiracy theory. Well, when anybody tells you it's a conspiracy theory, I'm going to go ahead and encourage you to dig a little deeper on that one. She denied knowing how much help the authors got from her staff and denied being given the opportunity to make changes or fact check. It was not me and had nothing to do with me, she said. Meghan's truth was supported by Omid Scobie. So Meghan's over here denying she had anything to do with it. And then her little lapdog comes yapping out. Was like, yeah. That's right. I didn't ask for their help. She didn't know anything about it. She didn't even know I was writing a book. I'm like besties with her, but she had no idea we were doing this. Any suggestion that the Duke and Duchess collaborated on this book is false, says Scobie in a signed statement. At the end of the statement, he acknowledged that signing a misleading statement was punishable as a contempt of court. Signed it anyway. Scobie knew that the 2-hour briefing with Jason Knopf required the Sussexes' approval, as did the help provided by Kaylee Thomas Morgan and Sarah Latham. The author had signed a misleading statement to support Meghan against the Mail on Sunday. The Sussexes were now indebted to Scobie to maintain the pretense. In the future, he was going to leverage this. Among his early bonuses was his revelation about the Sussexes' private video call with the Queen on her 94th birthday. Oh, whoopee. I don't really see that as a big scoop, but okay. Armed with Scobie's cast-iron denial, Meghan's lawyers asked the judge to dispense with the trial. Really, so she wouldn't have to be cross-examined. They knew everything was going to fall apart on cross-examination. And they just wanted the judge to issue his summary judgment about privacy. Her letter, the lawyers claimed, was private, personal, and sensitive, and it wasn't ever intended to be made public. The Mail argued that during her consultation with Knopf, Meghan anticipated the letter being made public, and that she had breached her own privacy by allowing her friends to speak to People magazine on her behalf. They had 49 examples of intimate details described by Scobie, and that was listed as evidence of Meghan's cooperation with the book. Included in some of those examples were their holiday plans that nobody would have known about, Meghan's hygiene and bathroom routines in Botswana. Okay, side note, why in the world is that being written about? Why do we need to know how she was using the bathroom in Botswana? Details of our first meeting with Harry in Soho House, and details about who said I love you first. Well, who would know that if it wasn't Meghan herself or somebody that was attached to Meghan, and if Meghan again had not authorized those details going forward, Meghan should be suing the authors of the book. The details were so precise, claimed the newspaper, that they could only have come from the Sussexes. Oh, no, the Sussexes refuted the Mail. Meghan listed many of the book's errors, inventions, and creative license as proof that she had not cooperated with Scobie. But again, how would we know that? How would we know that her denials are the truth? No one could know that. Meghan's conviction that her misleading statement would not be exposed was not an aberration. I mean, let's remember the fact that she's been lying to us these many years about her childhood and no one said boo. So she thinks she can just go out and say whatever and no one's ever going to call her on it. But she's not ever been in court trying to lie either. So it seems like she could have put 2 and 2 together and figured out this was a different scene. Now, Meghan got around this later as she was being called out on stuff by saying she just forgot. The classic line of the liar. Bauer writes, although she would later assert that she had forgotten her conversations, emails, and her 2-page memorandum to Jason Knopf, others would conclude that she had decided to take a gamble. If she admitted cooperating with Scobie, her claim against the newspaper would go to trial. Subject to cross-examination, she would also have to reveal all of her text messages. So she's really put herself between a rock and a hard place. By nature, Meghan viewed other people through self-interest, or as she called it, being kind to yourself. Her outspoken complaints in Finding Freedom, and again in her court statement that she felt unprotected in Kensington Palace, irritated her former staff. To such a point that 4 officials, Knopf, Cohen, Latham, and Jones, all said that they would come and testify in trial without taking sides about the creation of that letter. Just given the facts. They did know about the letter, they helped create the letter, and they did it with the intention of it being leaked. In September 2020, the Mail on Sunday filed a statement challenging Meghan's original claim that she had not spoken to the authors of Finding Freedom. Oh, you guys, I love this. This was my favorite part. In November of December 2018, the newspaper declared Meghan had told the Kensington Palace communications team, led by Jason Knopf, that her, quote, friends were assisting the authors. Oh, so you did know a book was being written, and you had told people to help with it. Interesting. The newspaper questioned why Meghan did not protest that excerpts of her letter to her father were quoted in the book. Why had she objected only to the newspaper's alleged offense? Oh. The plot thickens. So the letter in question that has caused all of this was quoted in Omid Scobie's book? How did he get a hold of the letter? And how is it that she's not mad that he quoted the letter? If she cooperated with Scobie's flattering account, declared the newspaper, she had not been telling the truth. By implication, she could not claim privacy. What a tangled web we weave when we practice to deceive. 7 weeks later, lo and behold, what do you think? Meghan changes her statement. She now admitted authorizing a friend to explain to Scobie the true position about the relationship with her father to, quote, prevent any further misinterpretation that she had abandoned him. She also admitted that Sarah Latham had helped to fact-check for the authors. Oh, suddenly her memory becomes clear. Oh, yeah, actually, my staff actually was helping with that. I guess I have baby brain. She sought to minimize her latest admission by volunteering that she didn't know if and to what extent the communication team were involved in providing information for the book. Clearly, she forgot the 2-page briefing note to Jason Knopf. That kind of just slipped her mind. The staff was involved, but I don't know how, and I really don't know what they said. Yes, I did provide a 2-page, multiple-pointed memo to Jason Knopf to guide his meeting with Omid Scobie, but I really don't know what they talked about. As Meghan's version crumbled, Kayleigh Thomas Morgan was also named as providing introductions for the authors. Meghan admitted that Knopf did contribute to drafting the letter, and that one of her friends spoke to Scobie about the letter. She also admitted that her letter was not an attempt at reconciliation. The Mail on Sunday was delighted. The newspaper believed that Meghan's admission reinforced their defense that she could not have, quote, reasonable expectations of privacy. Their cause appeared to be aided by Scobie's contradictions. First, asserting in the book that he had spoken to the Sussexes. Okay, so this wasn't like some passing comment. It's in the book he spoke to them. And then denying in a signed statement their help. Francesca Kay, a master of the Chancery Division, decided that Scobie's honesty should be tested. It's not what he says, but what he does not say, which may be instructive at trial, Kay declared. Pertinently, she also noted Meghan's contradictions. It's a simple case, Kay anticipated. If it's a house of cards, then it will fall down quickly at trial, but I'm satisfied it is arguable. Meghan was again ordered to pay all the lawyers' fees, totaling £178,000 so far. Everything seemed set to test Meghan's veracity in the witness box. And this was surprising because nobody in Buckingham Palace thought that Meghan would actually ever make it to the witness box. It just seemed like that could just never happen. The case was just so weak. How would the judge ever allow it to be tried? Accordingly, the 4 palace staff instructed David Engel, a solicitor, to send a clear message to the newspaper's lawyers. While the 4 did have evidence as to whether Meghan anticipated that her letter would be leaked, wrote the lawyer, he refused to describe the evidence, but he did say, we have it, and if we're called upon to give it, we will, and it will be incriminating. Warby, the judge, was left in no doubt that the Palace 4 would provide critical eyewitness evidence in a trial. Meantime, in the sunshine 5,000 miles away, the soothing assurances of her lawyers minimized the glitches of the legal battle in London. Meghan was busy laying the groundwork for the starring role in the next greatest appearance of her career. And next week, we'll talk all about how she is greasing deals, getting on to Oprah's program, making deals with Netflix. It's going to be a crazy week next week when we talk about all that Meghan was doing behind the scenes and why she can just move so blithely from all of this drama onto the next thing because, she doesn't sit too long and consider a thing. If she's failing, she sees that as some kind of wind beneath her wings. She's just going to prove everyone wrong. And that's how she's driven her whole life. I'm just going to prove everyone wrong.